Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I call this meeting of Independent School District 544 to order. Clerk, can you establish a quorum for us, please?
Yes. Kirby Anderson.
Here.
Natalie Knutson.
Here.
Melanie Cole. Matt Lemke.
Here.
Missy Hermes present. Stephen Vegas.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to our agenda, do I have a motion to the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
I'll take that. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda passes. I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Dennis for this one.
Yes, February 18th through the 22nd is coming up soon, but it's after our next meeting, so we want to recognize that it is School Board Recognition Week during February 18th through the 22nd, and here's a statement I'd like to read. Thank you to the members of the Fergus Falls School Board for being strong advocates for public education and responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district, along with establishing policies to ensure an efficient, effective school system. Thank you for devoting your knowledge, time, and talents as advocates for our school children. So just that's a lot of words. It just mainly a sincere thank you for your time and efforts and your caring about our kids and doing what's best for them. I think that's what it's about. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to reports, we have Kirby Anderson, 544 Education Foundation, and Finance.
Nothing to report on the finance, haven't met, but and the Education Foundation will be meeting next week. So that's all.
Sounds good. Melanie Cole, Special Ed Cooperative, Region 1, and activities.
Today the Special Education Cooperative Board met and we did quite a bit of personnel maneuvering, but mostly to cover one, maternity leave. And then just talked about a pay equity issue that we'll need to address as a board. It seems as though the director's maybe gotten a little out of wonk with the other administrative staff, so we'll continue to delve into that. And that was the basic gist of that. The Region 1 cooperative that provides technical services to the school districts, not much noteworthy there. Always, we reviewed the budget again, always a solid budget. We did the audit with a lot of narrative from the director up there who used to be working as an accountant, and he just cannot believe the flim-flam way the audits are done with all those fake numbers in there for the GASB and the whatever and the whatever. But we eventually did figure out we did make a profit up there for a year, and then just always ongoing discussion about providing business services and synergy and the different program options. So that's about it. Any questions for me? The activities committee didn't meet yet, so okay, there we go.
Any other questions for Melanie? Thank you, Melanie. Missy Hermes, Staff Development and Curriculum Review.
All right, I wasn't able to go to the staff development committee meeting, but I can report that they only have about, in their current budget, so many people are doing great things going to doing staff development. There's only about $1,000 left in that budget, so that's fantastic. One of the other things I found really interesting that Mr. Colbeck reported on is there are going to be some changes in teachers renewing their license coming up. And so teachers that are renewing in 2019 or in 2020 and beyond are going to have a new mandatory requirement in cultural competency. And if you want me to, I can read this. It says cultural competency. This is from the Department of Education. Cultural competency training means training that promotes self-reflection and discussion, including but not limited to all the following topics: racial, cultural, and socioeconomic groups, American Indian, Alaska Native students, religion, systemic racism, gender identity, sexual orientation, language diversity, individuals with disability and mental health concerns, and so on. So teachers will be doing training in that from now on.
Does it give the extended training? Is it a 2-hour course or is it
Typically, one unit, if you will, it can be an
Credit
hour,
unit.
2 hours, depending on, and the other thing that, Missy, I was at the meeting.
Okay.
We talked about March 25th,
Right.
the end of the third quarter staff in-service day, and also the fall in-service day. And one of the things that we talked a lot about is that we have a lot of new staff, and we were looking at, we need to get a speaker for next fall already. I mean, those are the same things. So differentiation, and we're talking from Wendy Behrens from the Department of Ed about who would be a good speaker. I emailed her, haven't heard back from her yet.
Fantastic. Okay, that was staff development. The Curriculum Review Advisory Committee, they met and we had reports from Mark Maston on infrastructure and technology replacement. That was very interesting. We also had reports from the social studies departments. One of the things they talked about is, at least in the high school, is how big the class sizes are in 10th grade, 7th grade, and so on. And then we had a great report from the visual arts department, and in fact, not only did they report, but they gave us tours of the art rooms. So where that was interesting. Downstairs, the art rooms down there, and then also where they do the pottery. I mean, that's like state of the art. It's fantastic up there. And then, so that was interesting, and we had really good reports back from elementary about the new curriculum that they chose, the new art, how much they enjoy that, and how much the students are learning. And so that was really a positive. It was a good thing to hear. And then also at Cleveland, they talked about how they have partnered with the Cadets Gallery, and they've had different artists coming in and doing some different, I shouldn't say workshop, but different classes with the students, and how much they enjoy that too. So, very good. Oh, wait, and there was also a report from IQ Academy. And they talked about, they have, I think at that point, they had 650 students in K through 12. And expecting more, actually, because other schools will quit accepting, other academies online will quit accepting students, and then they expect our enrollment to go up.
Any questions for Missy? Thank you, Missy. Natalie Knudsen, Wellness, Policy, and Buildings and Grounds.
Yes, so none of these groups have met, but I have a little bit of update. I met with Kristen Toole and Jesse Thorstad, and they're open to doing another 3 Good Things initiative in April. So we're starting to kind of plan that. And then the Thrive tools have been used quite a bit within the elementary schools, doing their random acts of kindness and practicing the 3 Good Things and that sort of stuff in the classroom. So I have a feeling that's going to get tied into the early childhood, some of the work that they're doing over there as well. So that can just be a consistent message for the kids as they continue to go through our district. And then Jen Cohorst, the school nurse, is planning to do a wellness challenge for staff in March. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but that's on the radar. And then as far as just the buildings and grounds crew, the Heritage Center is on our radar right now, and then Roosevelt will be kind of coming down the chute. What's next with that? So.
Any questions for Natalie? Thank you, Natalie. For my reports, Lakes Country Service Co-op Board does not meet until Thursday, so I have nothing to report for them. And the Minnesota High School League does not meet until tomorrow, so I have nothing to report for them either. So mine is very short. Stephen Biggis, Legislative Liaison, meet and confer.
So legislative, the committees are in full swing, introducing all kinds of bills that some are crazy and some are not, and I don't like to go over all of them because who knows how many are going to get pass. But I will say that the biggest, I guess the biggest hot points this year for education are special ed is getting a lot of attention this year with the paperwork involved for special educators to do their jobs. Right now, they're doing an excessive amount of paperwork that is actually excessive, that needs to be kind of pared down so they have more time to actually teach these kids. The other thing is the funding gap that is, I've said it probably the last 2 or 3 reports, it's time for the state to kind of pony up the money that they promised to fund special education, which, a special ed student can, because of level, depending on the level of care, can be 2-3 times more expensive to care for the year. And so taking that responsibility off the schools is financially, and having the state help with that is going to be a real big. School safety is a hot button as well, just with in light of the shootings last year, and also Governor Walz will be publishing his budget recommendations coming up on the 19th. Yeah, the 19th. So it'll be interesting to see what his ideas are for the budget, given his educational background, his deputy governor's educational background, and the fact that he's got a fairly good setup, having a House majority Democrat, and then the Senate majority is I think it's 2 seats now to the Republican side. So he probably has this that's a good setup for a Democratic governor, I guess. We had just some interesting statistics in the last election. We had a lot of changes with our Senate, with our House especially. We have 39 new House members and 34 of them are Democrats. 15 Republicans lost, no Democrats lost. Gives the House a majority of 75 to 59. Just thought it was interesting to see such a big change. More trivia than anything. Other than that, there's not much going on other than they're just introducing bills and hashing it out in committee. So,
Questions for Steve?
and then meet and confer hasn't met.
Oh, sorry.
We haven't met or conferred.
Steve. Any questions for Steve? Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Superintendent Ness.
I will just touch on the calendar. It's been an interesting few weeks here with about 5 o'clock in the morning, about 20 superintendents start texting each other and figuring out life, and it's just been some nasty weather, cold wind. Even today is that light snow is slippery, so it's be careful time. But we have not had a year like this in a long, long time. So far, we've had 9 events, 4 full days out, and 5 late starts. And so one thing that we'll be working on in the work session here, just briefly to get some information on is how do we make up that time? The admin met again today and even updated it from my Friday report that I talked about. But we need to look at March 25th as a end of the quarter date. Might be a really good day, good learning day for us. And then looking at right after Memorial Day, how do we make up those times? But I think we need to get that information out to the public so they can get their calendars set and make sure they're not leaving town. We need you here yet. So that's my big report. We got a lot of good things happening in schools. We've got tournament time is coming up. Back tomorrow night, the girls hockey play River Lakes, and they're the first ones on the deck for tournaments, and then it just starts rolling with wrestling and swimming and basketballs and boys hockey, and it just flows from here through March. It's a busy time, so good time. And snowball went very well, all of that stuff, so really had a good time. Unfortunate that the kids couldn't do some of the things that they normally get to do, but we got the coronation in and they got the dance in. Okay, that's a win. So,
Any questions for Superintendent Ness? Okay, moving on to item number F is our resolution of acknowledgements. And I want to say thank you to Jolene Coleman Petrick, Jason Marquette, Elizabeth Turkman, Angela Peterson, Christine Anderson, Jamie Anderson, April Haug, Cornell Walker, Angela Mickelson, Catherine McNeil, Sammy Herbert, Suzanne Rode, Catherine Rubin, Jamie McRoberts, Stuart Scheiser, Melissa Reese, Catherine Johnson Dutcher, Tricia Grove, Kelsey McIntosh Ellig, Tim Graff, Sam Herbert, Jamie Browse, and Sherry McKeever for their generous donation to the Otter Angel account, an account created to anonymous assist families unable to pay for student meals. I thank you to Stacy Wallen for the donation of a saxophone, and to Gary Eckley for a donation of an alto saxophone to the Kennedy Secondary School Music Department. Will somebody offer that resolution for its adoption?
I can offer that.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, yeah.
Missy? Discussion.
How come we moved it to a resolution?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Gary, you were
When
there.
we took the officer training on Wednesday, they brought up that it is standard procedure to recognize any gifts as a resolution rather than just in the board minutes as gifts. And so I think in the future, and rather than do each individual or an individual resolution for each gift, we thought, and we conferred with the experts at MSBA, and they said this is kind of what they came up with, and they said we should do this.
All right then.
So we're actually accepting it as a board, the gift of indebtedness, so it's kind of.
So it's a monetary gift, so
Right.
you can acknowledge other people for other things,
Yes.
but when you're receiving an
Something of
asset.
value.
Yep,
More than
something of
$5.
value.
Yep.
You are accepting it as a school board.
Learn something.
There you go.
Good.
All right.
Can I ask a question now, or?
Sure.
Yeah.
How is the Angel account doing? I mean, I know you're kind of concerned about it.
It's
It's being
getting
used so
heavily
much.
used, but it's also getting heavily funded, so we're
Okay.
doing fine.
Awesome, that's great to hear.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Natalie Knutson.
Yes.
Melanie Cole.
Yes.
Matthew Limkey.
Yes.
Melissa Hermes, yes. Stephen Vigasa.
Yes.
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Thank you. Moving on to our general consent items, we have the minutes for the January 28th, 2019 board meeting. Bills and treasurer's report, Kirby.
Missy Hermes and I met with Mark today, and we reviewed the bills for February. And we paid off a total of just over $2 million in bills. Currently, our balance is sitting at about $6.5 million, which is a good place to be. As we reviewed the bills, we didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I don't know, you didn't
Nope.
either?
Mm-mm.
And so I would recommend that we approve those bills and the treasury report as submitted.
Thank you. Personnel, Elaine Jenkins.
Yeah, we still have some hires going on here, even mid-year. We have, excuse me, a sports staff resignation, April King, with special ed para, and replacing her will be Isaiah Lemke at Kennedy Secondary School. Leanne Atkinson, she's going to be a special ed para over at Cleveland. Halftime, this is the halftime position that you approved at the last board meeting. Then Daryl Muckow is a long-term substitute custodian over at Cleveland, along with Brenda Bosworth. Cafeteria, she has a position change, and so she went from a 3-hour day to a 6-hour day position due to a resignation of a cafeteria staff member earlier. And then we filled that work-based learning coordinator teacher position that the board approved earlier, and that would be Catherine Anderson for that position. And so now we have opened up the VAX position to have people apply to that. So I recommend these all for approval.
Okay, all those in favor, can I give a motion to approve the general consent items?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
No. Any discussion?
Just like to say thanks to Elaine for all the behind the scenes work you do with all of this hiring and posting and.
You're very welcome.
A lot going on.
Yes, it is. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor of the general consent items, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? General consent items pass. Under our old business, we have the Fergus Falls Public Schools Certified Seniority List for FY 2019. That was sent out. Do we have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have no new business, and that concludes our business for today. So we
I will say that's the first time on a second meeting of the month, or the first meeting of the month, the second week. We always have items. I don't know if I've ever seen that since I've been here, that we haven't had an agenda item. That's pretty crazy.
After we adjourn today, we will go into a work session and talk about policy, the 2018-2019 school calendar, and also the superintendent's search. Our next, so it's the meeting dates. We have a special school board meeting. Selection of semifinalists for the office of superintendent will be tomorrow, Tuesday, February 12th at 7:30 a.m. at the Otter Community Room right here at Kennedy Secondary School. Our interview of semifinalists for the office of superintendent will be Wednesday, February 20th, starting at 8 a.m. Right here at the Otter Community Room, Kennedy Secondary School. A special school board meeting, the selection of the finalists for the office of superintendent will be Thursday, February 21st at 7:30 a.m. right here at the Otter Community Room at Kennedy Secondary School. And then our next regular school board meeting will be Monday, February 25th at 5:15 right here at the Otter Community Room at Kennedy Secondary School. So as you can see, we have lots of meetings coming up. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.